We're multitasking and starting a new reading series. Helpful Talks with Girls. So I love old books. You know, I love old books. Look how old. And this one's a little like pocket size. Helpful Talks with Girls by Elizabeth Kettling. The Christian Herald Bible House, New York. That's who published it. Copyright 1910. Helpful Talks with Girls. So 1910. These are the tables of contents. We'll start with introduction. This saying is trite, but nonetheless true. The best way to help those who need help is to help them to help themselves. Women, young women too, are thrown on their own resources quite as often as are men. The young women in such a case call out despairingly, "What shall I do?" Our answer is, "What can you do?" The girl says, "I don't know." In this little volume, we have pointed out the ways in which women with training and women with no training, but with the gift of pluck and stick-to-itiveness, have won. Apart from the great value of the information given in these pages, the book is more interesting than a romance, for all his experiences are drawn from life, not from the imagination of the romancer. Even if you don't want work, read it for the joy that comes from a record of brave effort. Chapter 1. Possibilities. Education in the past, a limited sphere, the uneducated woman. This is 1910. Nothing so marks the world's advance in civilization as the status of women today, as compared with that of the 18th century. We might go back beyond the days of, say, our American Revolution, and find through each receding century that women's positions approached nearer and nearer to that of the serf. We'll have to look that word up. Indeed, under the common laws of England, up to the middle of the 19th century, women, whether married or single, could only hold property through a guardian, she being considered incompetent to manage her own affairs. The girl of 100 years ago was to a great extent a creature of circumstances over which she had no more control than the slave girl born on the banks of the Congo. It is true that now and then a woman, innately great, burst the fetters of her environment, and rose superior to her sisters, superior indeed to her masters. Such women stand out like fixed stars through the murk of that dawn that was coming and bringing with it the bright sun of her enfranchisement. It is pleasant to note that with the gradual emancipation of women, hospitals began to multiply, orphan asylums became public institutions, and those humane charities that distinguish the civilization of today were launched, and we believe are destined to move forward and to advance higher to the field of opportunity for women broadens. The limited sphere of former days. In the sad days of which we are speaking, women became dependent and were thrown on their own resources exactly as they are today. It may be interesting to glance at her fitting to fight the life battle with the limited education equipment she received from her guardians. If her training had been in the flimsy accomplishments of which we have spoken, the only positions she could attempt to fill with any certainty of making good were those of nursery governess or lady's companion. Perhaps she might do fancy needlework, but if she wrought at this as a means of livelihood, it would have been considered a degradation by her associates, who rejected all physical labor to what they regard as the inferior class. Now the demand for such work was necessarily less than the supply. For in an age of irresponsibility, tens of thousands of well-bred young women, not to mention their mothers equally situated, were thrown on their own resources. If the woman was accustomed to housework, in addition, was fairly well educated, according to the standards of the times, There were 3 callings open to her, and these were more promising than in the case first referred to. She might teach school, and in that day it required but a slight knowledge of the 3 R's to fit her for this position. She might start a millinery shop for the decoration of her more fortunate sisters, or she might become the mistress of an inn or a boarding house. These 3 callings limit her possibilities as a self-supporter. So you could be a teacher, have a decoration shop, or a mistress. The uneducated woman. Strange though it may seem, the women without school training in those days had a great advantage over her better educated sisters. Then, as now, the farm, the factory, the shop, and the household offered ample, if not always, remunerative opportunities for employment. The revolution that has changed all this was not sudden. No revolution ever is. All the preceding centuries have been preparing the race for the great change that was to come. Truly, in this, as in all things, God moves in a mysterious way his wonders to perform. It was not as if men suddenly realized that their mothers, their wives, their sisters, and their daughters were capable of better things and fitted for a higher destiny. While it is true, great men have worked for their elevation of women, it is to women herself that we owe these wonderful advancements, now in progress, and which is determined to continue till every field of effort for which she is physically fitted to thrown open to her. These sentences. While it is true great men have worked for the elevation of women, it is to women herself that we owe the wonderful advancement now in progress, and which is destined to continue till every field of effort for which she is physically fitted is thrown open to her. Until, indeed, the world comes to realize that it is the character of the work that should be paid for and not the individual worker. Beautiful. When this day comes, women will receive the same compensation for the same work as do men, provided always that they can do it equally well and in an equal time. And then they can do this, and that they can do this, we feel absolutely confident. Okay, that's chapter 1. So this will be the new reading series. Chapter 2 is called Improved Opportunities.